What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Kofi Kingston, a.k.a. 1/3 of the New Day. You're not going to say it with me, sir? Yeah, come on, you better participate. Let's try it again. 1/3 of the New Day, and you are watching The Young and the Wrestlers. Ha 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 ha.
Welcome to The Young and the Wrestlers, the Pop Culture's WWE podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Betson, alongside
Kyrie Insane, aka Jem. Hi.
This is our Raw breakdown. This comes out to you every Thursday morning on your podcast services, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, head over to facebook.com/group/the Pop Cultures, our Twitter, Discord, Instagram. All those links are in the down below area. But if you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/the Pop Cultures, where you can watch us record this show as well as our other shows, the SmackDown, Young and the Wrestlers, and For the Players, our PlayStation dedicated podcast, all twitch.tv. As we should mention, we hit 250 followers this week on Twitch. Thank you, everyone. Much appreciated. Small little achievement for us. One thing we would like you to do is if you could share that conversation. Tell your friends, tell your family about this awesome little wrestling podcast. Maybe they'll take interest in, and they'll share the wrestling interest with yourself, quite possibly. If you want to support us in other ways, you can head over to patreon.com/thepopculturist, or you can go to our merch shop at popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Jem.
Yes.
How are you, man?
I'm alright, man. How are you?
I'm alright. Today's a good day, Jem, because we mentioned it on yesterday on the socials. We are going to WWE Australia.
We are, in fact, going to WWE Raw.
Yes. Speaking of, as we chatting about Raw. So, for those of you listening today, it is on Thursday. Tickets are available for WWE Live. That's the Raw showing here in August. Be sure to get tickets if you're interested. Be good fun. So we went a little bit different this year, Jem. Last year we were up in the stands looking down, which was a great spot. Absolutely fantastic seats. However, we decided that we should something a little bit different. Get a little bit closer. And seeing as the pre-sale tickets I got this year were even earlier than last year, sort of allowed us to get into a position to get some pretty decent seats for quite reasonable prices. So we are on the floor. We are on the walkway as they come in, and I'm pretty sure we are like right on the barrier, so we'll be able to be like, somebody touch my hand, and I can touch Seth Rollins inappropriately, be like, oh my god!
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm so excited.
That's what I'm hoping. And of course we do hope that we can continue what we did last year by interviewing a superstar. Hopefully we can do the same thing this year.
Multiple.
It would be awesome if we can arrange that. I know some people that may be able to help us out, sort of align those things up, and I've already put my feelers into the wild. The biggest sort of help is your support. So. That's true, but by listening to the show, downloading the show, sharing it, and all that sort of stuff, it can really help us get to that, and helps them give them a reason to for us to have a chat with them, because we would like to have that be part of this show more commonly, where possible. Now, that is understandably difficult being all in America. We like to line some things up. If that'd be pretty cool. But outside of WWE, before we jump into Raw, let's have a chat about another thing that's coming out here in Melbourne. You guys should keep an ear out for WSW. It's like World Series Wrestling, I believe it's called. If you are an AEW fan, come June, they are doing a show out in Ferntree Gully with a bunch of international guests, currently including 4 AEW superstars. Oh, it's W wrestlers, not superstars. AEW wrestlers. They have Orange Cassidy. They have the Bastard Pack. They have Dr. Britt Baker, MD. Who have I missed? Darby Allin.
Darby Allin.
Hell Yeah.
And Jimmy Havoc is going to be at MCW facing Danny Psycho.
That's correct. So in like 2 weeks, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. So they're all coming out.
Yeah, Jimmy
and
Havoc.
We just had Sammy Guevara here as well.
Yeah, Sammy Guevara did a match in Seaford, which is cool. Got Jimmy Havoc taking on Geelong's Danny Psycho in MCW Fallout. AEW, they're reaching out to Australia, which is pretty cool.
I definitely think we'll see them here sooner rather than later.
I think they're testing those waters. I think so. Now, we're not going to see them do anything with MCW, more than likely, because they are quite connected to New Japan Pro Wrestling, with many of... I think an example is Gino Gambino is part of the Bullet Club. So I don't think there'll be a lot of... because knowing that AEW aren't really working too hard with them right now.
Yes.
But... because at PCW, which is where it's housed, they've done a lot of work in the past. So they had Kenny there, they've had the Lucha Brothers there. So that seems to be the place. The difficulty is it's like an hour and a half drive from Geelong, which is fucked. But it's
like 5 minutes from my work, but like
so it's great.
An hour and a half from my home.
Yeah, that's right. So we're probably going to hike over there. My good friend Craig and I are going to go over there, check it out, drive back.
The mullet.
Fantastic. No, it should be very, very exciting. So it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, it is.
And hopefully we can see you there. Dash?
Yeah.
In the chat? Hopefully we see you there. I had a dream the other night that I met Dash in person. It's pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I still think he's an enigma.
I think he could be. Being a dream could also just indicate that he
literally is fake.
He's literally fake, and I made him up.
Dash is fake news.
Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't smooch or nothing. Because he's a gentleman.
Aw, that's so sweet. Just a gentle hug and laugh.
Yeah, it was good. Anyway, let's get into the show. Let's have a chat about this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's kick things off with what kicked off the show, Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
So he and Paul Heyman make their way into the ring to talk about the idea that Drew McIntyre is not worthy of the championship opportunity due to the dick punch that allowed Brock Lesnar to take the boot in the Claymore in the face and go over the ropes at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, basically Paul's just like, Drew McIntyre is fake news. He's a sham because, he just capitalized on Ricochet's low blow. He didn't do anything except kick Brock Lesnar over the ropes. Like, he didn't do any of the hard work. He's a sham. And his exact words, I believe he calls him a big dumb bitch, which prompts Drew McIntyre to come out and get a bit face-to-face with Brock Lesnar.
And then we proceed to have a Claymore party.
Yeah, ridiculous. So in true Brock Lesnar style, he goes to walk away and then does the sneaky run back, and Drew was waiting for it and just dropped him with a massive Claymore.
Right in the side of the face. Bush, down he went.
Yeah. And then just leaves. And Brock Lesnar's like staggering around the ring. Paul Heyman's checking on him, and they start leaving. And as they hit the top of the stage, out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre comes running back around and just Claymore kicks him there on the stage.
Surprise, cockface, and then just kicks him again. And then as Brock sort of stumbles his way back up, BAM!
Another one, because the crowd's just chanting one more time. And Drew's just like, okay. And just drops him again. Like, vicious. Absolutely beautiful. And it's really solidifying the strength of Drew McIntyre. Not only is he super duper strong, he like properly knocks Brock Lesnar out. He's super duper fast.
And we also see we get a little glimpse of what could happen at WrestleMania as Drew McIntyre picks up that belt and holds it over Brock Lesnar. I'm just gonna say that
the crowd blew up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there. It looks good in him. It certainly looks good in him.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's finally coming full circle, and Drew McIntyre is going to get that world championship he was promised many years ago.
So I really enjoyed this specifically because having Paul Heyman out there being like, nah, doesn't deserve it. He ain't done shit, and then for Drew to
prove himself,
deliver exactly the opposite of what Paul Heyman said in a matter of seconds and multiple times. We discussed this many times, but I'm so keen for this match.
I am definitely, I am on that Drew McIntyre hype train. Choo choo, we're coming in. Like, I am all about it.
Should be absolutely fantastic. One thing they did mention as well in there was, as we said, Ricochet. Because not much more happened out other than this in regards to Brock or Drew, but they did discuss Ricochet, who just had a match against Brock Lesnar for the championship at Super Showdown. Yeah. He seems to have stumbled a little bit because instead he's taking on Riddick Moss for the 24/7 championship.
Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks to see Ricochet just sort of pushed back to Riddick Moss, especially because Riddick Moss does end up getting the win.
The clean pin,
and retaining.
Too.
Yep, clean pin, retaining his title. Look, I'll give Riddick Moss credit. Like, that dude hits hard. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but that match was pretty vicious. Like, he was like, when he hit, he like took Ricochet completely out. So he's definitely a strong dude, and he's a strong competitor, and he's solidifying himself with that belt, don't get me wrong. And he's the longest reigning 24/7 champion at 22 days.
22 days?
Yeah. Bayley's held the championship for 280 days or something like that, and the 24/7 championship's longest reign is 22.
And it's interesting, like, I do wonder what the plans are for the 24/7 championship, because it's really not getting time.
No.
You know, it's
really
not like once that brand split really kind of kicked in a gear again after the draft, it just stopped getting attention.
Yeah, it really did. I think the best part of the match for me was probably when the crowd just started chanting at Riddick Moss, "Who are you?"
It's funny because I do also ask the exact same question.
But no, look, it really, like it says in the title, like it really feels like Ricochet's being a bit buried now.
Yeah, and that's the big concern. The big concern here is, is Ricochet being buried? He had an incredibly strong run. This is a United States champion. This is someone who had an opportunity at the WWE Championship, and this is an interesting step to take less than a week after that championship match.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's one of those things like Ricochet isn't the one to take a loss like this. Now, granted, he's taken losses, but they've always been by bigger, stronger opponents. And I certainly don't think that Riddick Moss is the one to bring Ricochet down.
Definitely not.
So, do you think there is a concern for Ricochet in the future?
Oh, 100%. It really feels like they've just pushed him down to the bottom of the ladder and he's going to climb again.
Yeah, they just don't know what to do with him.
He's gone from, main event status to this. It's a bummer.
Yeah, especially as his previously, like, it was that climb. Like, he had mid-card title, then lost it, and then moved up, and then took on the champion. So, it's very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
But, Jem, if you were asked what to do with Ricochet now, what would you do with him?
I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Like, you got people like AJ Styles who are in different feuds, and Andrade and Umberto and all that are locked up. I don't know. I'd have to go through the roster to see who's available and go from there. But yeah, I think maybe at this point there isn't much we can do with Ricochet. And this is maybe just a way to keep him in the spotlight.
That's very possible, but like being in the spotlight is not taking an L either. It is this weird balance because you think about his time on Raw. So he came up in similar to this time last year from NXT. He did with Aleister Black. They were a tag team for a while. They had a lot of tag team opportunities, which was fantastic. They then separated, but Ricochet sort of had the win of the two and made his way into that United States Championship picture to then head into, as we said, the championship. So he has the strongest run compared to Aleister Black. Yeah. But it's that weird thing of where do you go? Like, obviously he can't be going for that title anymore, or at least not till after Mania.
I mean, Ricochet has been working really, really friggin' hard. So that could be the possibility that maybe he's working his way down to some time off. He could be suffering a bit of burnout or something like that. So
yeah, and the additional stresses that he puts his body through with all these flippy doodahs may be coming back. I mean,
we did see him come out in shorts because his leg was wrapped. So
I did notice that compared to the pants that he normally wears.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to say.
It is difficult to say, but as you mentioned, so like with Ricochet and Aleister Black, it looks as if that Ricochet is entering kind of where Aleister Black was a couple of months ago.
Yes.
Sort of being stuck in the room, doing the whole, pick a fight with me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to see a slight change in that this week as he took on AJ Styles in a just standard old match.
Well, he was supposed to take on AJ Styles, but AJ had a different idea about that. He does mention, he's like, clearly you didn't read the contract properly. The contract says, to get to me, you've got to go through Carl Anderson first, the strongest man here, et cetera, et cetera. So, first of all, AJ comes out and he starts complaining about Mark Wahlberg giving him advice about walking away from The Undertaker. And he's like, I got friggin' advice from Marky Mark, and everybody starts chanting Marky Mark. It's hilarious. Complains that thanks to The Undertaker, he didn't win that trophy. He should be out there with the trophy next to his OC partners with their trophy.
Mm-hmm.
But then, he's like, Aleister Black comes out. He's like, you have to go through Carl Anderson first. So they have a match which Aleister Black wins. Then the ring announcer's like, to honor the contract, AJ Styles now has to face Aleister Black, and AJ's like, hold on a second, you clearly very clearly didn't read it because you also have to take on Luke Gallows. So he has a pretty vicious match against Luke Gallows. He ends up getting himself. I'm
just gonna put it out there. How come no one checked it? They just went, this is like, did you read the contract? No, this is what it says, and everyone just went, okay, I believe that to be correct. Why would AJ Styles lie? I don't know, because it's fucking AJ Styles.
Exactly right.
So he makes his way through Carl Anderson, as you mentioned. Carl Anderson
ends up getting DQ'd.
So then Luke Gallows comes in.
Luke
Gallows comes in and he starts getting a little bit brutal in the corner, going past that 10 count?
5 count.
5 count. Yeah, the 5-10 count in the corner, which then got him DQ'd, which didn't really stop them. They continued to a bit of a beatdown, but then that brought it into the actual match with AJ Styles, where Aleister was having a tough time.
Yeah, definitely. He'd obviously just been beat up again, but he refused to step down, refused to say no. So he just kept fighting, and it ended up being his demise. I believe it was his first loss. He took the big L to AJ Styles.
Possibly. I have a feeling he's lost before.
Possibly. I can't remember. I thought he was still undefeated.
No, I don't think so. That would be pretty cool if that was the case. But so this leads into a match at Elimination Chamber where we're going to get AJ Styles versus Aleister Black in a no disqualifications match. Yep.
And just to mention as well, obviously, during the pin on Aleister Black, AJ Styles does mock The Undertaker, so he's clearly calling him out, and we will definitely be seeing that at WrestleMania.
I think I kind of understand why AJ has sort of just decided to pick this fight with Aleister Black. Part of it is the picking a fight thing, but I think there is a lot of similarities within within Aleister Black and Undertaker, more thematically rather than in sort of their ring ability or their moveset. The coming out of the coffin, sort of the occult vibes. He is a mystery. The mystery. He is a good
stepping stone.
Yeah, stepping stone. I want to say an analogy, probably not the right word.
Alternative.
Yeah. So it is like a mirror of the
Undertaker 2.0.
Kind of.
Alternate universe taker.
Yeah, well, especially within Raw at least, because if you were to look over at SmackDown, I really brain farted there. If you look over at SmackDown, you'd presume it would probably be Bray Wyatt would be the closest to that sort of matched on at WWE, but that's obviously not the case. So I understand why he's made that target, especially as a response to Super Showdown.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this now. So do you think? Are you interested to see what happens at Elimination Chamber?
Yes, actually, I very much am. Just because I don't know, it's a matchup we haven't seen yet, and I want to see it.
Yeah, I agree. I do think like my concern about the no DQ, which means the Good Brothers will be involved again.
Oh yeah,
unquestionably, for better or for worse, which could be a concern. But if you want to hear our concern and see our concern, Jem and I will very likely be live reacting to Elimination Chamber this coming Monday. So be sure to, if you haven't already, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/popculturist, where you can watch us respond to Elimination Chamber as it happens. It'll be Jem, myself, and my son. He doesn't have daycare that day, so he'll be causing a guaranteed problem, I'm sure.
It'll be great. Entertaining, to say the least.
He is certainly fun. He'll be running around, dousing people, that sort of stuff. He'll be having a fantastic time.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think where we can head into next.
Can we just get this out of the way, because, you know, as Australians, it doesn't faze us.
Correct.
Eric Rowan.
Yes, Eric Rowan.
So, No Way Jose and his conga line come dancing through one of the hallways backstage, and they come up to Eric Rowan, and they stop, and they just say, look, man, like, Jose's like, look, man, like, we're all interested. Can you please just tell us what's in the cage? And Rowan's like, you want to know what's in my cage? And the whole conga line are like, yeah. And he's like, you know what? All I've wanted, and he like grabs Jose's shoulder, and Jose's like, and it's just like, is somebody to be respectful and just ask. And Jose's like, all right. And he's like, do you guys really want to see it? And they're like, yeah. And he puts his hand in the cage, and he pulls out a giant fucking tarantula. And the whole crew go running. He's like, hey, you don't want to see my friend? Like, and I'm just like, it's another day in Australia, but that's nice. And I did see somebody tweet it as well. I was like, somebody's like, you know, everybody else is like, oh my God, giant spider. And Australians are just like, eh.
Yeah. I couldn't be more fucking disappointed.
I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. And I knew that whatever it was going to be disappointing anyway.
I still argue that it should have been Crazy Raccoon.
Yeah, right. Just a little, just a little trash panda. I still maintain Shayna Baszler should have climbed out of the cage, but you know, we can't always have what we want.
No, that's very true. But in terms of what it could have been, the potential was way greater than a fucking spider.
But at the same time, I'm kind of interested to see if he's going to start using that now in matches. Like, I want to see if he's going to get the spider out and have it running through the ring and like freak someone out to get a win. Like. You know, I'm interested, like, I kind of don't care, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, what are the possibilities here? Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
In comes my child. Okay, you can go on the toilet? All right, thanks, buddy.
At least he's letting you know.
That's true. It is very kind of him to let me know he's gone to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I'm disappointed, but only because my expectations were different, but I also may have had expectations for, like, I don't know, something better.
Yeah,
that isn't always the case. One thing that I did I think the expectations may have been a little bit different was Shayna Baszler versus Asuka.
Yeah, well, especially considering that it wasn't facing Asuka.
Correct. So the expectation coming in here was, as the card announced, it was Shayna Baszler versus Asuka post the contract sign that we bitched about last week. However, we get confirmation that Asuka is in fact injured. She has a
wrist injury.
A sprained wrist, this was announced on Twitter as well. So Kairi saying her tag team champion partner would be
taking her
place. Can we also just mention that we haven't seen those belts be defended in like 11 years?
Yeah, I know. It's been a while. Ridiculous, but what can you do, you know? Asuka's wrapped up in bigger and better things, apparently.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So Asuka and Kairi do cut a little bit of a promo in the ring. Asuka says in sort of scattered English about the chain who's quite lucky that she is in fact injured, as Asuka would be, you know, seeing Becky at Mania. And that Kairi is hungry to take out Shayna.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it ended up being like a pretty good match. Like, I think for Shayna Baszler's first match on Raw, it really did showcase how strong she is. Without burying Kairi. Like Kairi did have her moments where she actually properly got up and like fought back, which, you know, in some situations make people look a lot stronger. The fact that, Kyrie just didn't get up and she kept going. And the only thing that did keep her down was when Shayna Baszler ultimately got that California clutch, I believe it's called, to which Kyrie tapped out to. But during the whole match, obviously, Becky Lynch does come out and sits at commentary wearing Jerry the King Lawler's crown and sitting in this big fluffy yellow jacket, which I need. Can I please have it, Becky?
a big old fuck you, Sonnies.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I definitely believe that at this point in time, Shayna Baszler is going to take that title at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Becky's just getting a bit too sure of herself now, talking about how nobody can beat her. She's the only woman that's ever won a main event at WrestleMania, and how she's just better than the competition. And I definitely think that she's getting a bit too big for her britches. Mm-hmm. And I think that Shayna's going to knock her down that peg that she needs.
I think you may in fact be correct. It is cool to have Becky have that confidence, and especially coming out of Royal Rumble where she did have some hesitance about taking on Asuka, because that was the one woman that she couldn't get through. However, she did get through that, and then it's this weird balance, right? Where it's fantastic that she's made that win, but it also may have been the one thing that sort of kept her ego in check, I guess.
Yeah.
So, it's good to have that sort of, I wouldn't say a kryptonite, but like that one minor weakness where... Yeah, I think the hubris is setting in. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Is I think the hubris will take over here, and that will cost Becky at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And I honestly think, people are so gunning for Shayna with this now, and you can tell. I think it's going to be a switch of, Becky's going to turn into the bad guy after this.
Cool.
And we keep talking about, the Messiah and the disciples and how, every faction has a good woman involved. And I honestly believe that maybe we're going to lead into Becky maybe joining the likes of the Monday Night Messiah and seeing a power couple dynamic come from that.
Interesting. So,
I want to see that. That's kind of fantasy booking, I guess.
Yeah, because...
I think it'd be cool to see them.
At the back end of last year, around... Extreme Rules, where we did see Lacey and Corbin team up to take on Seth and Becky as a team. And the whole big storyline was that they're apart. They're dating. They love each other. Yay! Are you sure you want to see that? Because that wasn't very good last time they did that.
I think if they did it as a heel couple and the Monday Night Messiah whole thing, I think it could work. I think it works better in a heel dynamic than it does in a face dynamic.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I like where you're going. It's certainly interesting concept. I'm trying to think.
We'll see. It probably won't happen. That's just a little bit of fantasy booking. I think it could be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. Because we did see the Monday Night Messiah and his disciples, AOP and Murphy, sort of get involved in something tonight. So there was a now or never tag team match with for the titles, Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy versus the Street Profits.
Yes. Yeah, interesting that so soon they've decided to do a now or never match and not put that whole we could lose these and lose opportunities forever for this. But it also obviously gives them it proves that they're confident in their abilities, which is good. But yeah, as obviously Seth and the AOP and Murphy come out, they do have a little pre-match attack on the Street Profits, which looks to be going in the Street Profits' favor until Montez Ford does a flippy doodah over the top rope and gets caught by Murphy and Rollins and gets thrown into the barricade.
That was brutal.
Yeah, which they do command most of the match. And eventually, it looks like the Street Profits are about to get up, and Seth, while distracting the referee, is calling AOP down while Montez Ford is on the apron. And they come walking down, and the referee turns around and catches, and he kicks AOP straight out. And Murphy and that are chucking a fit and stuff like that. And while this whole shebang's going on, KO out of nowhere just comes running into the ring, stunners Seth Rollins, and then just disappears. And AOP go chasing and like Murphy's like trying to get the referee to look, and it's this big ordeal. But ultimately, like, the Street Profits, thanks to Kevin Owens, do take the win and are your new Raw Tag Team Champions.
Now, I'm a little bit disappointed because this was the one thing that was spoiled on me ahead of watching Raw. I think I really would have popped nice and hard if I saw this live. Saying that, though, I did still enjoy it.
I did, yeah. I think it was like, I luckily didn't have anything spoiled for me. Apart from something we'll talk about later. But I saw that coming a mile away. But yeah, no, this was super exciting because I've been saying for weeks that these guys need the belts on them. Like, they're going to elevate the belts. They're going to bring it back into proper tag team competition. So yeah, I was really, really hyped to see this. And yeah, after the match, obviously, like Seth and Murphy are backstage, and like Seth's all like, "Hold me up, Murph, hold me up," and like Charlie interjects, and she's like, "I know this is probably not the best time, but like I just want your reactions on what's going on." And he's like, "You know what? Like at Elimination Chamber, we're taking on the Street Profits again because I don't have to ask, I demand because I'm the Messiah. Like I'm taking on the Profits. We're gonna win our titles back. It's that simple." And he's like, "As for Kevin Owens, he can name the time, the place, and the stipulation, and I'll be there, and I will crucify him."
Ooh, so do you reckon that's the Monday Night Messiah versus Kevin Owens at Mania?
I definitely think so. And you know what?
Give me
all of it. Give me all of it. I think it's going to be like either like a no holds barred or like a street fried or a Falls Count Anywhere.
Well, they are at a baseball stadium again for Mania. So yeah, I believe so.
I definitely think it's going to be a big old crazy match. And it's going to be
I think
amazing.
A good big old street fight might be what's needed there.
Yeah, and it's going to be an amazing conclusion to that feud.
It would be fantastic. So, but in regards to the Street Profits, as we mentioned, it's fantastic that they've got the win here. And I was very happy for them. They seemed very excited.
because it was an amazing match too.
Yeah, it was a ripper match. It was really good. But with their match on Chamber this week, this upcoming Monday, how do you see this going?
Oh,
because in terms of the stipulation of the now or never, if they do take the L on Monday, they will still be able to go back to those belts at another stage.
Yeah, exactly it. It was just for this match. I definitely think we're going to see them retain. I think it will be involvement again from Kevin Owens. I don't think we're going to see them losing him anytime soon because, like I said, they're what those titles need right now. It's a proper tag team, not something just slapped together.
As it stands, I do think the only way we're going to see them get off the Profits is when we finally get the in-ring return of the AOP.
Yeah, and I was just about to say
I'm going to say that could very possibly be a Mania match as well.
Which would be awesome.
Which would be fantastic because like, imagine having that return at Mania. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
and Mania's like cards stacked already, so it'll just be even better. It's just adding to an amazing show.
Well, with Mania, they normally end up at about 15 matches or something absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it's huge.
But before we get into the next part, let's have a quick chat about Mania. So, as it stands right now, there is this looming threat of the coronavirus, and as a result, it has had an effect on a bunch of events. It has closed, put some restrictions on PAX East. It put some restrictions on and closed down the Games Developers Conference in San Francisco. Mania's right around the corner, Jem. And there's upwards of 80 to 90,000 people in that venue. If one person happens to have it, that's a really big concern. Do you think that there will be some things taken, some sort of restrictions, or maybe even cancel WrestleMania?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Generally, like, WrestleMania goes ahead no matter what, and like over the past year, like couple of years, like it seems to be every year there seems to be some sort of like pandemic going on or something like that. And it hasn't caused an issue thus far, so I don't imagine it causing any issues going forward.
Yeah, I do imagine it will come down to Vince McMahon just wanting the dollar he does and won't sort of back down. But in terms of the safety of all that, because for PAX and GDC, they they are minute compared to the overall number of bodies that will be at WrestleMania. So it's very jarring if they're taking this response, but but the WWE are not.
Yeah,
so that is certainly concerning. And it's just more of an observation because there will not be vaccinations or a resolution between now and 4 weeks away. Like this will take the better part of the next year. So I think we will see a lot of events, and I'm similar to you. I think WrestleMania will certainly still go ahead because of the dollar values.
Definitely.
But I'm interested to see how this goes about.
Yes.
But something that was really interesting to see, sort of how it was going to come together, was the match between Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, with Sarah Logan as the guest ref.
Yeah, this was a very interesting interaction.
So, was all members of the Riott Squad involved in the match in the best capacity that they could have been?
Yes.
Run me through it, Jem.
Yeah, so before the match, Ruby is being interviewed by Charlie, and she's like, Charlie's like, we never thought we'd see the split of the Riott Squad like this, and Ruby's just like, all I have to worry about is myself now, and I can strike whenever I want to strike, and she can do whatever she pleases, basically, without having to worry about anyone else. But yeah, so she obviously comes down for the match. Liv and Sarah are already there. Match starts, and Ruby starts dominating the match, but then Liv really does get the upper hand. It was really great to see these it's Ruby's in-ring debut. She hasn't been in the ring wrestling yet. So.
Return, not debut. Return.
Yeah, that's it. In-ring return. Yes. Thank you. Re-debut. No. But no, it was a really good match. Like, they were both super hard-hitting. Like, they obviously know each other very, very well, so they're able to counteract one another. Sarah Logan did a really good job of being an even mediator. She really took her time until there was a kick out with Liv. Liv kicked out of a pin from Ruby, and Ruby slammed into Sarah, and then shortly after, Ruby gets a pin, and Sarah, obviously a bit upset and sore, takes a little bit of time to get there. Ruby gets up in her face, and she's just like, and this comes after an altercation where, like, Ruby wouldn't listen to Sarah with the count, and Sarah's like, I'm the referee, you need to listen to me.
Sure, yep.
Like, I'm not taking sides here, I'm just doing my job. And then, yes, like, Ruby gets in her face, and she's like, what don't you understand about counting to 3? It's not that hard, and yelling and shouting, and shoves Sarah, and Sarah's just like, whatever. And then Liv gets a sneaky roll up, and Sarah does the quickest count I've ever seen. And then Ruby cracks the shit, and Sarah just shoves her back, and then Liv Morgan comes in with a flying knee, and then Sarah Logan just wrecks Liv Morgan, and it's just Ruby and Liv sprawled out on the mat while Sarah just walks out. The fact that all three of them are in an Elimination Chamber match next week, very interesting to see this all happen this way. Very true, and I like what they're doing here. I think it's because, like, there is a bit of frustration amongst the three of them. I think so with Ruby Riott, it comes from being away for so long, being injured. Liv Morgan, it comes from being away and coming back and sort of being not doing a whole lot. Liv Morgan not leaving but not doing a whole lot. So there's a lot of frustration within the three of them, and a lot of reasons for them to go hard and to push themselves that little bit further, which is awesome. We'll see.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I have a little theory about that, but you go ahead.
Okay, because my concern was heading into Chamber is the three of them are going to be too distracted, and this will give the opportunity for Asuka and Baszler to really push through and just make their way through them. So
Natalya,
Natalya as well. So it is this situation of them no longer being the big threat within this.
See, I have a very different theory. I have a theory that this is all a massive misdirect.
Okay.
And in the Chamber, they're all gonna, I guess, reunite against a better cause. And instead of attacking each other, they're gonna realize if we work together like we used to, we can take out the competition, and one of us can take this.
What if they all act dirty on Asuka, therefore giving them a shot at the tag team championships?
Yeah. Yep, that could be something that could come from it too. I definitely think it's a big old misdirect, and they're still behind the scenes a team, and they're gunning for those titles. But they're just trying to, like, play coy and like catch everybody off guard.
It's like, that'd be a pretty cool long build if that was to go that route.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Probably won't happen. It's just something that I thought.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. For those who are listening at home, let us know what your thoughts are on that and whether it's possible that we're going to get this sort of sneak going on from over there. Let's have a quick chat before we jump into the main section of the night. Let's have a chat about the match, but with a bit of the lucha feel. So we had Humberto Carrillo and Rey Mysterio versus Angel Garza and the returning Andrade.
Yeah, so again, another little pre-match interview. Sarah asks Rey and Andrade, Rey and Humberto what's going on. And Rey's like, even though family's involved in this and it makes it a lot stronger, like we are the stronger, better team. We will come out of this on top. And this feud will end how we want it to end in no other way. Phenomenal match as always. Like those four put on an amazing match. Like you said, that lucha feel is like, it's really fast paced. It's really like, it's very visual. Like you're visually engaged the entire time. It was an absolutely beautiful match with some hard hitting spots. Like there was this beautiful jump off the top rope from Humberto, trying to catch Andrade, and Zelina Vega just yanks Andrade out of the way, and like Humberto gets wrecked. Like it was absolutely phenomenal because he caught some air in that jump too.
He did. And my personal favorite spot was that Canadian Destroyer from the middle rope from Rey on Angel Garza. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, dampen the front area on that one.
That was beautiful. But ultimately Humberto did get the win with a pin on Andrade, giving him and Rey that win, which was awesome to see. It was good to see them get the up this time. I know this feud's going to drag out a little bit longer, but I'm all for it. Like their matches are always just so phenomenal.
Yeah, because I do think that like this feud, it feels like it's been going forever, but I think that stems from there being some downtime between the two. So with Carrillo off, presumably injured, and then Andrade away from the wellness violation. This has been extended,
yes,
for better or for worse. So,
but it's good that we haven't seen the same thing every week. It's been different competitors. It's been a bit of a mix up. So, like having them all back together in the ring it gives it that better edge.
Yeah, and it was good to have Zelina be able to represent both her associates in the one match.
Exactly,
which is a nice
right.
little touch. So one thing that was gunning before Andrade had the time away, before Carrillo got injured, was it looked as if Carrillo was gunning for that United States Championship. Do you think that is now back on the cards?
Oh, 100%. Especially with Humberto getting the pin on Andrade, he's basically guaranteed a title shot now. Yeah. Like if you pin the champion in a non-title match, you are guaranteed a championship shot.
Yeah. So what does this mean for Garza though? Do you think if Andrade takes the L and then that puts Garza to then continue in his place almost?
I don't know. I don't think we're going to see much of Garza after this, to be honest.
Okay. Because there's a couple of ways you can go. Yeah, so Andrade takes...
He kind of was just a filler.
He was. Like, he was there to sort of be Andrade when Andrade wasn't there. And he is still competing on NXT television, so it's certainly not a call-up. So I imagine he will go back. But then... if it goes that way and Carrillo does get a shot at the championship and happens to take it, I'm trying to think who would then enter that United States Championship picture. I'm going to say it's probably Seth Rollins. May come in on that and sort of continue. Because if it's one of those, it's the only way that they can sort of...
Or maybe even put it on Murphy.
Yeah, or put it on Murphy. So you have the AO, presumably this is what would be the ideal scenario. Have the AOP have the tag team championship, and then have either Murphy or Seth have the other title. I
reckon it'll go to Murphy because guaranteed Drew McIntyre is taking that title. So I think Seth is going to gun for Drew McIntyre after WrestleMania.
I think
they're going to try and get belts on the whole faction.
That's probably a good call. I think go sort of Evolution style and sort of take all the gold.
Yes.
I like that. And
which would be cool because it is that nod back to Evolution as well.
And even if it doesn't go that way, and also a recent nod to more of like the Undisputed Era, who had all the gold on NXT.
Yes.
Yes. I think it also sort of allows this setup that Seth may consider himself in fact higher than the championship. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's more of, I am bigger. He
doesn't need it.
I don't need it because
so
I am fucking the Messiah. I don't need this. I don't need this material possession.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm very excited to see where that goes. It'd be a shame to see Seth back in that title picture because I like to dream and hope that Drew McIntyre will have it for a good long while.
Which he deserves.
Yeah, so I think that might be the situation. It might be...
Speaking of Drew McIntyre, I forgot to mention that after all the Claymore kicks, everybody was chanting up Brock Lesnar, you deserve it.
Which is very true.
That was great.
Let's get into the final section of the night. So we had Beth Phoenix enter to...
give a medical update.
To provide an update on Edge and where he's at, as well as confront Randy Orton. So she's in the ring. She is explaining where he's at and what's going on, and out comes Randy. So Randy's there in the...
So she doesn't even get to say anything.
Doesn't really get to sort of get too specifics. Randy comes in, stands in the corner after sort of attempting to like shake hands or hug or something.
He tries to hug her first. She's like, "Don't you dare!" He tries to shake hands. She's like, "You really think I'm going to hug you or shake your hand after what you did to my husband?" So he takes a seat in the corner and he says, "Go on, say what you need to say."
Yeah. So she addresses that. It essentially along the lines of, it's bullshit that I needed my husband and you could have really taken it away from him. We've got our kids. You could have taken their father away from them. Sorry. Like, who do you think you are, you son of a bitch?
Yeah, exactly right.
Then we get a incredibly personal and heartfelt sort of...
You have to watch it.
Yeah, it's
basically...
We cannot undersell this promo here, this discussion. So Randy talks about how he provides the year. It was like the fall of 1999, where he came to an episode of Raw in St. Louis, where he happened to live. And he went in there with his dad. So his dad was sort of showing him around the backstage area. He was, sort of there showcasing to all the talent. So he talked about, Foley.
Randy was only a fan at this time as well.
Yeah, so Foley, Austin, The Rock, all the big names at the time. But the only one that took the time to have a chat to him was Edge. Now, Edge is only 6 years his senior, so it's not as if that there's a big difference between them. So it would have been a nice, sort of connected age period. He talks about how... he talks about how that Randy... I'll just run through this and then we can break details. So he talks about how Randy wants to break his way into the industry, and Edge is essentially along the lines of, awesome dude, that's fantastic. I hope we can share a ring one day. Yeah, and at that moment for Randy, that sort of inspired him. That sort of helped him to where he was and where he's become. And then later on, when he did enter the WWE, he did find himself working with Edge as part of the Rated RKO. And he talks about how that he made some incredibly difficult and bad life choices that put him into a hole, that put him into a place where he couldn't and probably shouldn't have been helped. However, Edge came in, reached up, helped him, mended him, showed him that there was reasons to be alive, to be part, and that's part of, to be loved, to open yourself up, to have a family, to have children. And he talks about how if it wasn't for Edge, he wouldn't have taken he'd be there to take his kids to volleyball, to baseball, to all these things that he has now, I guess sort of possibly could have almost taken advantage of, more appreciative of, which I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it was absolutely beautiful. I love that, they've brought that real life story into it. It really makes it hit a lot harder. But yeah, he goes, and then Royal Rumble happened and we saw Edge's pop, and, even I was I was shook from it. Like, it was an amazing thing. And, and then he comes back the next night and he's like, I'm permanently back. And he's like, I love your kids. He's like, I love I love Edge. I love Ruby. I love Lyric. And I did what I did because, you know, he thought he was going to come back, and he's not. You know, I did this so somebody else didn't put him in a wheelchair. I sent him home so he could be with his family, and he could be a father, and he could be a husband. And, you know, he didn't end up, you know, in a wheelchair or dead, and you had to take care of him. He can provide for you. And then he goes on with the idea of, like, it's your fault, Beth. You enabled him. Like, you shouldn't have. Like, this is your fault because you enabled him to get back into the ring, and even he said it. Like, you pushed him and you helped him. You know, if he was a drug addict, you wouldn't be buying him you wouldn't be buying him drugs. If he was an alcoholic, you wouldn't be pouring a drink every night. You shouldn't have let this happen. It's all your fault. And then he even goes on to say, like, I love your kids, Beth. I love Ruby and Lyric, and I love Edge clearly more than you do. And it shows. And obviously Beth gets pissed and she slaps him across the face, and then you see Randy call her a bitch. She goes to kick him in the gut, and then just out of nowhere RKO's her and then leaves. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Words can't even you have to watch the whole exchange. Like, I only want to skim over it. I don't want to talk in depth about it because it was that good that you have to go and watch it.
I want to talk more about the motivations rather than exactly sort of what happened.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Because this was absolutely fantastic. So this showed a lot for Randy as a person. So this is him showing that he is willing to be the bad guy, willing to take the hit. Like, he is willing to be perceived as the piece of shit in order to save his best friend or a man that, you know, like one of his dearest friends, one of the people that he loves the most.
Someone he sees as a brother.
Exactly. So, like, for him to be like, look, and this kind of matches what we speculated a little while ago, was the idea of he was seeing a sort of a wounded animal, and he being the viper that he is, being the apex predator, sort of taking that person down as to almost in a way of putting them down like you would your dog or someone that's unwell, and you're like, this is the safest thing for you is for you to be out of this picture. And yes. I felt that to be incredibly real and incredibly personal from Randy, and I absolutely loved it, because it's one of those things of Randy is so used to being that bad guy, so used to being that despicable heel. It was one of those things where he did the exact same behaviors, that he's done for the longest time, the exact same sort of actions. But however, it's one of those things when you provide the context around it, when you provide there's some reasonings, it's like, oh man, there is so much more to Randy than I certainly have given him credit for.
Definitely. No, it's absolutely phenomenal. Like, I think, you know, saying that he loves Edge and their family more than Beth does was a bit much. But, like, yeah, it is a case of that, you know, I did the bad thing, but I did it with good intention.
But I think his response towards Beth and delivering those exact lines is the exact same thing, right? It's one of those situations of if he takes out both Edge and Beth, neither of them will be within in this space. There is no, if they are both out of this wrestling picture, it's very unlikely that both of them will return. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so he's essentially done the exact same thing. He knew what would trigger Beth. He knew exactly what to say to push her buttons, to give him a reason to do exactly what he
wasn't
did.
going to attack unprompted.
Exactly. So he was poking. He knew that he could deliver this response.
Animals don't strike unless they're provoked.
Exactly. And it's once again, it's that same best intentions approach. He's like, look, you're going to keep coming back, and by you return, if you come back to confront me or you do whatever, that is only going to be an additional issue here on Raw. Now, understandably, she is a commentator on NXT, so she's not going away completely. However, he needs to ensure that both her and Edge will not be returning to Raw, and that's their motivations.
Do you think that's genuinely the motivation, or do you think that he sees Edge as a threat?
No, I think those are the motivations. From the story, like the story that was delivered to us by Randy, I think, is way too personal and heartfelt for it to be as if for him to be intentionally manipulating Beth. I think that, you know, we because he's been discussing since he did it how like none of you would understand my reasons. And it's one of those things because I think that came down to a man being defensive towards his feelings, defensive towards knowing that it's one of those things is like, because anyone would ask like, well, why would you put yourself in that position? Why would you make yourself intentionally look like a piece of shit? Like, even though it's protecting your friend, why would you do it?
Yeah, and he has been in Edge's life for the better part of like, you know, a decade. So, longer. Yeah, no, a decade. 2009, 2019, something like that.
Longer than that. Cause Edge has
almost 20 years.
Yeah, almost 20 years. Yeah. Edge has been gone for 9.
Because I think he said 99. Yeah, so yeah, it's been like, almost 20 years, a better part of 2 decades. Obviously, Beth has not been involved that much, so I can understand the motivation of, you know, I love him more than you do type thing.
Yeah.
But I think it was a bit of a jab saying he loves the kids more than she does. But again, that's Randy provoking.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
I'm very interested to see how this is all going to play out. For sure.
Because where this is going, this is a Mania match. This is going
100%.
to be a fucking incredible match. There'll be so much emotion and investment into this.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you whatever... Yeah, same. I guarantee whatever the result is, I will cry.
Yeah, easily.
And I cannot wait to see where this Randy Edge situation goes. I can't even wait to see Edge's response to what Randy has said.
Yeah.
That alone will be incredible.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting.
But anyway, that does bring us to the end of this episode of Raw Analysis, our Raw Breakdown. Let us know in those comments below what you thought of this week's episode. Jem, how did you think this week went?
I think it was pretty good on the whole. Obviously, there were a few things that brought it down, like that whole Eric Rowan thing and the Riddick Moss match. Look, I'd probably call it down the line and give it a straight cut.
I'm in a very similar position to yourself. Like, I don't want to I want to approach with that critical eye. Sort of the Randy Orton thing alone wants me to sort of give it an extra bump, but I think that is a little unfair. So I would agree with you to
straight down
the line with a big old Kurt Angle there. But anyway, so this was our Raw Breakdown conversation. As I mentioned, it comes to you every Thursday morning on your podcast services, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you want to join that wrestling conversation, head over to facebook.com/group/thepopculturist, Twitter, Discord, Instagram. All those links are in the down below area. If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live, as well as be involved in SmackDown recordings, and as well as our PlayStation show for the players. And, you know, this Sunday we will have our Elimination Chamber predictions using WWE 2K20. And Jem and I will also be live reacting to Elimination Chamber this coming Monday.
Yes.
One thing we'd like you to do, if you'd be so kind, would be to share this wrestling conversation. Tell your friends, tell your family about this show, about the goodness that is Jem and I talking about wrestling twice a week right into your ear holes. Be sure to go to your podcast service of choice, give us a rating, give us a review, sort of help get the word out there. And finally, if you do want to support us financially, you can head over to patreon.com/thepopculturist, or you can head over to popculturist.com/shop, where you buy our merch, so you can get shirts and other sort of shit with our logos on it. But that does bring us to the end of this week. We thank you very much for joining us on this evening. Thank you, Jem. Thank you, everyone in the chat. We hope you all have a lovely rest of the week, and we will see you for either SmackDown or Chamber, whichever comes first. We'll see you then. The Young and the Restless, the Pop Culturist WWE podcast, is fan support over at Patreon at patreon.com/thepopculturist. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: AJ Abatomi, Damian Holdies, Kyle Dunn, Lee Wintershoven, Nathan Massetti, Paul James, Pure Mongrel, and Sean Levitt.